Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindie Nation. I'm Jeff, and today on episode 125, we're taking a look at every indie game hitting the Nintendo Switch through the week ending November 21st. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. You can find us on Twitter, come chat with like-minded citizens on Discord, or check out some of the week's newest releases with us right here on YouTube every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern during Nindies at Night. Now, it's been a while, that's for sure, and over the break I've been playing quite a few Nindies. I'm very interested to hear what's been keeping your Joy-Cons synced over these past couple of months, so please let me know down in the comments. For now though, to kick off episode 125 of Nindie Nation, let's start by checking out 4 of the most notable Nindies that released since episode 124. In our last episode, one of the bigger releases that was still an unknown was Dreamscaper by Afterburner Studios. I plan to have a video specifically focused on this game in the future, so for now, I'll say that this game is in the running for my game of the year. Playing as Cassidy, you are a young woman returning from the big city to her rural town in the Pacific Northwest to help wrap up affairs after the untimely passing of her sister. Half of the game takes place during the day, where you travel between a few local spots and build relationships with the residents you choose. Very much like a Persona game, it's your choice who to get close to, and their relationship levels offer perks to various stats that will come into play as you explore the other half of the game. When Cassidy goes to sleep, she's whisked away to a world of her own personal nightmares in which she must explore and tackle bosses such as fear, loneliness, and regret. It's pretty deep stuff. The gameplay is isometric action where you balance multiple attacks, special abilities, dodges, and blocking as you work your way through each level of her nightmares. Overall, the blend of these themes are immaculate, and the dialogue is some of the most realistic and well-written I've ever seen in any game. Really. If you can't tell already, Dreamscaper is a great title to kick off this return to Nindie Nation because Cassidy's trek through her nightmares includes procedurally generated levels, rogue-like mechanics, and RPG elements! Stay tuned because you definitely haven't heard the last of my thoughts on Dreamscaper. Untitled is a title I wasn't expecting much of, but after a couple of citizens over on Discord gushed about the demo, I decided to give it a shot, and while I'm nowhere near finished, it's remained in my current rotation as one of the most surprising games I've played this year. If you've played Hyper Light Drifter, the vibe and visuals are very similar to that post-apocalyptic world, but with a bit more of a cyberpunk aesthetic. If you were to lump it into a genre, it'd be like a Zelda game where you traverse a big top-down world and tackle dungeons, but the RPG systems and combat are extremely deep, so it sits kinda somewhere between Hyper Light Drifter, Zelda, and Crosscode. And I think that any fan of any of those titles should at least check out the demo. A game we've covered since its original announcement in December of 2020 is the Peruvian-developed Tunche by Leap Games Studios, which finally released in November and is a game I love, but comes with some caveats. First, the game is a side-scrolling roguelike brawler with 5 unique characters set in a hand-drawn jungle that creates one of the most striking visual styles of the year. The combat is your typical fare of 2 to 5 hit combos between your attack, magic, launch, jump, and dodge abilities. After clearing a room, you pick from a couple of options based on what you want to upgrade, very much like Hades, and after a half dozen rooms or so, you tackle a super fun boss. When you die, you're sent back to camp to cash in your upgrades and then set off again. I love Tunche, but it is currently plagued with some major bugs that make the game downright unplayable in many regards. Thankfully, the team is well aware of this and have already patched it on Steam, and in my own testing, I've found that Tunche will be an easy recommendation as soon as that patch makes its way to the Switch. Stay tuned because we'll feature Tunche on Nindies at Night as soon as the patches go live, and if you enjoy brawlers like Streets of Rage or River City Girls, definitely add this one to your wishlist. Tunche doesn't go as deep into the trifecta formula as others, but it comes complete with all the parts necessary, including procedurally generated levels, rogue-like mechanics, and RPG elements! Oh, it feels good to be back. And finally, speaking of trifectas, Skull by Southpaw Games and NeoWiz is a title I told you was one to look out for, and we played it earlier this year on Nindies at Night back on the PC. Well, it's now arrived on the Switch, it runs great, and if you're looking for a side-scrolling action RPG with simple combat and over 100 character classes, you've found your game. Skull is a blast to play, and it's fun no matter what kind of run you end up attempting. As you play through the game, your little bad guy minion will find new heads to put on top of his skeleton body, and each one completely changes the playstyle, from things like ranged versus melee versus AoE attacks, all the way down to bizarre variants like only being able to attack when you drop down from the sky, or skulls that act only to charge and then blow themselves up. It's all really fun to tinker with, and the skill tree will provide plenty of room to grow and over 20 or so hours of gameplay. Go check out our stream or stay tuned to future videos, because Skull will be another of our favorites this year that is also chock full of procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! What else did I miss during the past 2 months? If any of these are looking interesting to you, or there's another recent release we should check out, let me know down in the comments. Now that we've looked back a bit, it's time to do what we do best here at Nindie Nation, and take a look at all of the new releases hitting the eShop from Monday, November 15th through Sunday, November 21st. Direwolf Digital kicks things off this week with the digital adaptation of their beloved tabletop game, Root, a game of woodland might and right for $19.99. It's a territory control game similar to Risk, where you play as various woodland creatures and battle for control of as much land as possible. If you're a tabletop fanatic and have some friends coming over during the Thanksgiving break, this could be a great option for game night. As indie developers often do, Moonlight Kids and Humble Games bring us the next entry in a genre that Nintendo refuses to release new games in. The Wild at Heart is meant for all of you Pikmin fans who have been begging for a new entry, and it brings with it a gorgeous art style reminiscent of where the wild things are, which, given its name, is likely by design. As two runaway kids exploring a magical world, you gather troops, amass an army, and battle through enemies while gathering items that give the Wild at Heart a stronger emphasis on RPG mechanics than you'd typically see in Pikmin. It released a couple months ago on PC and Xbox Game Pass, where it received mostly favorable reviews. It launches for $24.99, so if you're a fan of Pikmin, throw it on your wishlist, and we'll see if it goes on sale as we get closer to Black Friday. Also on the 16th, Microids releases what I think is part of a franchise with Marsupilami Huba Venture, whatever that means, for $29.99. It looks like Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, but in 2D as a by-the-books side-scrolling platformer. If you've got a kid in the house or you're looking for a simple and colorful platformer, this might be a good fit for your wishlist. On November 17th, we get
Clang 2, an electronic symphony at your fingertips
by Tenemations and Ratalaika Games. It's a pretty neat-looking rhythm game that plays somehow like an action platformer. Clearly it's inspired by Tron, and the original game reviewed decently well on PC, so I might be giving this one a shot. It's $14.99, so make sure you check the reviews before diving in, or stop by Nindies at Night this week, because this one will likely be on the list. And no week is complete without the 1-2 punch of Ratalaika and East Asia Soft, with their latest release being Masto is Together, developed by Kind Cat Games. It's one of those single-screen, break-your-controller and frustration platformers, so be ready for the challenge. And the visuals are, solid shapes, which seems lazy? Either way, it's only $5. On November 18th, the teams behind the solid space shooter Star Hunter DX, 1cc Games, and Chorus Worldwide Games release Space Moth Lunar Edition for $7.99. It's a revamped classic bullet hell shooter that's been modernized a bit, but will still make your eyes bleed with never-ending waves of colorful things that want you to die. And if you're a fan of things that are good, well, you probably should not check out Smoots Golf. It's the latest by John Dusoft and developed by Kaneda Games, who developed one character model and then wrung every drop out of the visual style into a half dozen games that all look straight out of the PlayStation 2 bargain bin.
Choose your smoot and become a golf champion.
Or don't. And nothing says
mobile shovelware port
like a game that doesn't support TV or tabletop mode, and that's exactly what you'll find with the puzzle escape room release of Cosmonauts Academy Escape. It's the second in a series where you set off to colonize a new planet by escaping the shuttle you're in, or something that doesn't really make much sense. It's from a publisher I've never seen called
LK Mad!
It costs $5.99, and it thinks this constitutes beautiful graphics. Sometimes I look at a game and I say,
that looks decent, but I really hope it doesn't cost too much.
And in this case, I was pleasantly surprised to see Romeo in the Cracked World dropping for only $2.99. Published by Silesia Games, developed by Remix Games, Romeo is a puzzle game where you slide tiles around to create a path for a kitten to follow. Get it? Cat-themed, it's Romeo. It's super cute, looks super chill, and I don't know, just look at that little guy! He says, "Can you please help me find my way home? I only want $3. I like puzzle games like these, and $3 seems just right. Nindie newcomers Lim Kernel Game Dev Gang bring an interesting new title all the way from Mother Russia this week, and it's called Hitch, or H-I-C-H, which apparently stands for Hassle in Calculations Happens, and it's $10. I kinda like the post-apocalyptic-y isometric style, and it looks like it's a twin-stick shooter, so that's good. Oh, there's a pretty cool flamethrower, but wait, then I get confused because it drops top-down racing in out of nowhere. All of it does look fun, I think, but then I read the very start of the game's description.
Online action game. Show and prove your skills is PvP shootouts, PvE missions, online drift and street races among other players, rebels.
The PvE stuff sounds fine, but I personally rarely do competitive online stuff. I don't know. Maybe we can check it out on stream. What do you think of this one? I can't make my mind up about Hitch. Next up for $4.99 is an open-world multiplayer zombie survival game which was created by a solo developer called Wobbly Tooth and released for the 3DS a half a decade ago. And, Ice Station Z looks like a $5 open-world multiplayer zombie survival game from half a decade ago that was recently ported to the Switch by a solo developer from the 3DS. I just see a bunch of dudes running or driving around in a snowy level that looks like that one mission from GoldenEye. I have a feeling that there's like a hardcore group of 200 people who love this game and have never stopped playing it? Maybe? I don't know. London-based studio Lone Minded drops their first-person platformer Exertus Redux on November 19th for $4.39. There's a lot of these first-person run and jump and slide and wall run games, but Exertus seems like one of the better, maybe more zen entries. Their last game, Adverse, was similar, but more focused on a teleporting bow and arrow, and it was pretty good, so maybe Exertus is worth a shot. Publisher Chili Dog Interactive releases a Mafia-themed adventure game developed by a team called Fast Game, which I'm not sure is the best name for a studio. Nevertheless, Whiskey Mafia Leo's Family is a $5 pixelated adventure game set in the 1920s and is a sequel to their other release, Whiskey Mafia Frank's Story. They claim there's a
great Mafia setting, guaranteed.
And then we round out the week with a few games that aren't about whiskey, but will almost certainly drive you to drink, as the latest by the 13-year-old Hornballs over at Query8 release Nin Days 2 for $9.99. It's a story about an old man in Akihabara who owns a bakery and takes advantage of two underage girls dressed like skanky cyber ninjas by trading food for sexy time. Way to go, Query8. Way to go. Speaking of developers with a knack for pervy anime titles, Gamuzumi releases a scantily clad anime visual novel that asks the question,
Would you like to run an idol cafe?
and no, I wouldn't. And then Pixel Mob, who is also known as Boombit, releases their driving game with City Traffic Driver for $11.99. This is a great game that's definitely worth picking up if you want to drive yourself into oncoming traffic. We wrap up the week with what is easily the most interesting story in the world of scantily clad underage anime girls with East Asia Soft's 20 Ladies, as it is also known in the PlayStation ecosystem as 20 Bunnies. See, it's a minimalistic platformer, dodge the spikes, make it to the end of the level, except along the way, you have to find 3 almost naked girls who are just hanging out in the world where everything else is a flat shape. Kinda like collecting the 3 coins in a new Super Mario Bros. Level, but, you know, jailbait. This game, developed by Nerd Games, had to be reworked for PlayStation sensors and swaps the 20 ladies for 20 bunnies. Because, you know, furries really solved the problem. You just know someone over at Nerd Games was like,
Hey Jan, did you figure out what to do with that porno anime game?
Sure did, Steve. I talked to the rest of the team, and they were really cool. They're actually gonna make it really family-friendly.
Wait, they are?
Yeah! They are taking away the 20 ladies and making it 20 cuddly-wuddly bunnies.
No, wait, hold on. Let me see that. Jan, are you serious?
What? Aren't the bunnies cute? They're cute, right?
Jan, you turned it into a furry game.
Well, yeah. Now it's family-friendly. Who doesn't like woodland creatures?
Damn it, Jan, this is for people who want to woodland creatures.
so if you want underage girls, buy 20 Ladies on the Switch, and if you want 20 Lady Bunnies, buy it on the PlayStation. Or don't. The choice is yours. I think Space Moth and The Wild at Heart are the most promising titles this week, but there are a couple of interesting tidbits as well with Masto, Clang, and Root depending on your Nindie preferences. That said, it's probably a good time to check out some of your backlog because next week we've got a couple of really big releases, so it's a good week now to save your digital dollars. Anything jumping out to you? Let me know down in the comments. We'll get back to the eShop deals soon because we've got Black Friday just around the corner, and frankly, right now the deals aren't very good at all. If you are looking for something awesome to play on the cheap though, be sure to check out Dicey Dungeons while it's only $3.74. At that price, it doesn't matter what the game is, I'm telling you to try it. Otherwise, keep an eye out for the annual Black Friday Mega Deals video, which will be coming as soon as we get the deals list. In the meantime, we're going to get back on the horse with Nindies at Night, so join us this Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern to check out some of the week's newest releases. And in the meantime, come hang out with us on Discord. Please like the video to help us grow, and subscribe if you want to be kept up to date on the latest new Nindie releases every week for the Nintendo Switch. Otherwise, that's it for this week. Thanks for coming back. Stay tuned for next week's episode because we've got one of the highest rated indies of the year finally making its way to the Switch. And like I said, the big old Black Friday eShop sale is right around the corner. Thanks for stopping by. Until next week, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindie Nation episode 125. And remember, no matter what type of game you're looking for, Nindie Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.